Hello, welcome to Geeking Out with Shad. Today I want to talk about the movie Cars, or better yet, the town Radiator Springs. To be more specific, I want to talk about Route 66. Why do I want to talk about Route 66? Well, because that is how we used to travel long distances in the past. So, if you don't know what Route 66 was, and it still kind of exists today, but it's kind of disjointed nowadays. Um, it was a highway that started from Chicago, so the upper Midwest, and worked its way all the way down to the Southwest, Los Angeles, I believe. Yes, Los Angeles. And went through lots of states. It went through Illinois, obviously, if it started in Chicago, Missouri, touched in Kansas, went through Oklahoma, a little bit of Texas, then New Mexico, Arizona, and then ended up in California and Los Angeles. So it was pretty cool. Along the way, there were all these stops, there were all these towns. And the reason why this existed was it was before the big interstates took over everywhere. And this was how people had to travel. Cars had shorter ranges, they weren't as reliable, and so on and so forth. So, what they did when people traveled was they would drive down the highway, and every so often there was a small town that was basically their sole purpose to support travelers. Gas stations, restaurants, food, places to get your car fixed because cars weren't very reliable. Tires were available because the quality of tires wasn't very good back then. Um, all kinds of things. And then what happened is a lot of these places had kind of cool, quirky tourist things. They're still out there today. I think of Cadillac Ranch and things like that. But like they had, things that were interesting for travelers. So as travelers were going, they could stop, fuel up, take their time, get something to eat, enjoy their trip. Then the interstate came along, and what happened was these small towns didn't have the money to sustain the towns anymore, so a lot of them just went away. Some of them still exist, but they're in bad shape. Uh, so interstates just bypassed everything, and it was where all of a sudden we became in this rush to get places. So if you've seen the movie Cars, which is why I brought it up at the beginning, it's interesting because they really touch on this point. And you have Lightning McQueen, who goes out. I can't remember. Gosh, I'm trying to remember how he ends up getting lost in the city because he doesn't have headlights or something. Anyway, oh, I know. He was in the truck and the truck fell asleep or something like that or whatever. I don't remember entirely. But anyway, he ends up in this Radiator Springs town and he's stranded there. But what the whole premise of this movie is how nobody goes through this town anymore. Now there's this big hero race car, blah, 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 blah. And they really touch on this point that everybody, the minivan scene and stuff like that is kind of part of it, but everybody takes interstate now, and this town doesn't have much traffic going through it or anything. So, pretty interesting movie, fun movie, especially if you have kids, but even good for adults. And so Radiator Springs is interesting because they showed that they kind of had a little bit of everything. They obviously had the gas station. You have to fuel up, but they had a tire shop there. They had a repair shop. They did have a custom shop, which I thought was kind of interesting because that's just I don't think that was really a big thing back in the day. But and then they had Mater. Now, why would they have Mater, right? Why would you need a tow truck? Well, the reason you need a tow truck is people would break down often between towns, and so the towns would have tow trucks, and they could go out and, you know, help people get to one of the towns to get their car fixed because cars weren't very reliable or they would run out of gas, right? Things like that. So that was kind of the way it was. And people, families would go on road trips, and it was kind of a big, exciting deal. Then the interstate came along, and it just all went away. Everybody became in a rush. We're all trying to get there. We're white knuckling it on the highway, trying to go as far as we can. Things like that. I personally hate doing travel like that. Every time I've traveled, I like to take it more easy and more casual, because doing an 8-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour drive, whatever, is just painful. And it's not something I really enjoy doing. So whenever I road trip, I like to, stop more often, spend more time at places, things like that. So why am I even talking about this, right? Well, I'm talking about it because we're moving into the EV direction. So the future is going to be EVs. EVs take longer to charge. They don't have the reliability problem that old cars used to have. They're pretty reliable. And I would say even more reliable than most ICE vehicles out there. If you don't know what ICE stands for, that's internal combustion engine vehicles. So I don't think tires and repair places and that stuff is going to be needed, but definitely entertainment, good food, things like that, while you stop and charge your car. Charging is going to get faster over time. But I think, 15 minutes, 20 minutes is kind of going to be like that fastest charge. If you take the car that I have right now, it's about an hour and a half. If I fully depleted the battery and charged all the way to 100%, it would take about an hour and a half. But that's unlikely, especially if I did stop. So I'd probably only need to stop for like an hour. I could go, check out a cool tourist thing, some quirky, fun thing somewhere. I could eat a nice meal. So I could drive 2.5, 3 hours at a time, stop, plug in, take it casually. I really hope that somebody comes up with this idea as we build out the charging infrastructure around the country. Like, make these areas fun to hang out at, and then make it fun to travel again, because that's really what I'm looking forward to. I think it'd be really cool. We kind of need to slow down as a society. Like, I feel like everybody's in such a rush and everybody's so stressed out nowadays, and it's like they got to get there, they got to and it's like, why? Let's just slow down. Let's enjoy things as we do them. Like, you should be able to enjoy traveling across the country by automobile, right? So that's really what this is about. Is it's kind of like, I feel like we have an opportunity here, to be honest, like an opportunity for small rural towns to actually embrace EVs and provide a service to people that have to stay there a little longer. Like right now, traveling, you go into, even if it's a truck stop with all these things, which some of them are pretty impressive, the food isn't very good. It's like all this convenience stuff at the convenience store. You fill up your gas tank, you buy some crappy food, jump back in your car, start going. Unhealthy. You don't get any exercise, things like that. It's like, no wonder, whenever I see truckers, I don't say all of them are this way, but there's an awful lot of truckers that are overweight. And I'm like, well, it's no wonder. They're pressured to drive these long distances. They stop. They have just poor quality, crappy food available to them to eat. They sleep in their truck. They get back out on the road again. It's just not a very, healthy way to live. Sorry, if you're a trucker, it's not a criticism towards you. You have this job for a reason, but it could be better. You could have better services provided to you at these truck stops. and healthier, and maybe even a fitness studio or something. Or, you know, I mountain bike, like, man, have a pump track, some mountain bike trails or something, like some fun recreation. Like, seriously, rent the bikes out so you don't have to have a bike with you. I don't know, just ideas popping in my head. But of course, I'm a mountain biker. There could be all kinds of stuff, sports things or fitness things people could do, and I just don't see any of that. But it would make so much more sense if we just kind of planned these, space them out, plan them, and then that would give these rural places kind of out in the middle of nowhere an opportunity to have a thriving, you know, money base for their community, and accept tourism, and come up with cool ways to entertain people. Like, I don't know, that's the way I see it. Whether that will happen, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're just mass putting all these charging stations everywhere. And if you're anybody from one of those companies somehow watching my video, I highly doubt you'll see it. Stop making pull straight in charging stations. Make drive-through charging stations. What if somebody's towing a trailer? They have to unhook their trailer and then pull into the charging station to charge if they're driving a pickup truck or something like that. And that's going to become a thing as battery technology is improving. So plan ahead, pull through, so you don't have to rebuild everything in 5 to 10 years, right? Just like a gas pump. I don't understand why they don't do that now, but probably trying to save space. I don't know. But anyway, yes, that's just this. I've been thinking about this. I posted it on social media, and I thought I'd do a little fun video on it. I really do hope this becomes a thing. Like, I would love it if road tripping in an EV just became this nice, casual, pleasant experience, rather than the experience traveling these days where you're just white knuckling it, getting there at 75 miles per hour as fast as you can, right? But I don't want to do that anymore. I appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace. We can change. We don't have to keep going down the path we're going down. Yes, it is possible. Just takes people to do it and want it.